Hey, when you think of retirement, most people think, when can I retire? What age? How much money do I need to have saved for me to live the rest of my life? But have you ever thought what you're going to do in retirement? How are you going to spend your time? Are you going to still have that purpose in life? That's a big problem that a lot of retirees are facing today, is that they plan so hard on the dollars and cents, but they never really paid attention of what they're going to do. That's today's show. If you're at all looking at retirement, you have to join us today. Welcome, everyone. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. My name is Joe Anderson. I'm a certified financial planner, president of Pure Financial Advisors. And this show is always the best with that man sitting over there. That's Big Al Clopine. He'll be joining us in just a second. But when you think about retirement, here's what most people think about. It's like, hey, I'm going to play golf, I'm going to travel. But guess what? That could get fairly boring. So let's focus in on what we should do when you retire to have that purposeful life and have the best retirement possible. That's today's financial focus. Here, take a look at this real quick. Here are the top 10 activities that baby boomers plan. So they're not living in it yet. They're just planning, hey, what are we going to do in retirement? Number one is travel, right? Hey, we're going to travel the world until they get on an airplane and, right, they're cramping up and this is miserable. Hey, I'm going to spend more time with family and friends. This is interesting. They ask husband and wife, right? They ask the husband, hey, what are you going to do once you retire? What's the number one thing that you want to change in your life? The husband says, I want to spend more time with my wife. I love my wife. I want to spend more time. They ask the wife, what is the number one thing that you want to do once you retire? Do you think hanging out with the husband was number one? It didn't even make the top 10. So you want to make sure that you have communication when you retire, because guess what? It's Saturday every day. Find your hobbies, gardening. Get that green thumb. Do you want to spend 12 hours a day gardening? I don't know, maybe. How about fishing? Seasick, right? Golf. We see this all the time. I'm going to be a professional golfer. I'm going to join the senior tour. I ask them 3 months later, how's your golf game? They say, I hate it, right? Reading, exercise. These are all great thoughts of what you want to do. But just remember, there's 24 hours in a day, okay? And we sleep half of that. What are you going to do? These are great starting points, but you have to find a little bit more purpose. And to bring purpose to this show, let's bring in the big man, Big Al Clopine.
Retirement lifestyle planning considerations. So what are you going to do in retirement, and who are you going to do it with? What do you need to consider? So right off the bat, it's activities. What kind of things are you going to do to fill your time, to create purpose? Health, right? Health and fitness. That's if you're not healthy, the whole thing doesn't really matter that much. Keeping your mind sharp with intellectual growth. And then, of course, don't forget the finances, because if you don't have enough to fund your retirement, you're going to be worried and this whole thing isn't going to work out. But Joe, the main focus is the lifestyle considerations, non-financial. Right. And a lot of people don't really talk much about that because the focus is so much on the financial part.
Yeah, and when you look at retirement, we think of the dollars and cents mostly. Right? It's like, do I have enough? When can I? Social Security strategies, taxes, inflation, and everything else.
And we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Yeah. But there's other stuff.
Yes, because it's like you finally get there, and it's like, oh, now what? And then you want to travel, right? That's, you see the commercials, everyone's traveling on the beach and everything else, but could you imagine traveling for 12 months straight?
Yeah, I've done 3, but that's enough.
I mean, that would be miserable. You're just hopping on planes and you're doing, I don't know. I think people like to sleep in their own bed. And so the first thing to consider is, all right, are you ready for retirement, right? And so we have some questions here that you want to ask yourself, are you ready?
All right, so let's start out with, you've been unhappy working and are waiting for retirement to find happiness. These are signs that you're not ready to retire. In other words, you can't find happiness at work. You assume you're going to be happy when you retire, and it doesn't necessarily work.
Right, and this makes sense. It's like, God, I hate my job. I can't really, let me just retire to find this happiness, and then that's what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to flourish. Trust me, if you are not happy working or 9 to 5 or whatever, your life right now, it's probably not going to have a dramatic impact on your happiness. So you want to make sure that you find that happiness before you even retire.
Planning a vacation is more fun than taking it.
I still don't understand this one.
It's because you don't go on vacation,
Yes.
so you don't know what I mean.
It's like, well, let me spend all this time planning, and then you're on vacation. You're like, this is miserable.
Well, some people love to plan, but they don't really want to do it. That's the concept. But another one is you have no hobbies or other interests outside of work. And that could have been you, but you changed that around last year.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, with your golfing.
Yes, but this is the issue, is that, and we see this day in and day out, is that, all right, well, here, I have so much passion for my work and what I do, and I'm building a company or I'm building a career, and all of a sudden, all of that's gone. And your focus is solely on that, of course, in family and friends and everything else. But, when you're working and you're entrenched in your work, it's like, it's kind of hard to make that transition. And a lot of people have so much difficulty with that.
You persistently think of work even when outside of work. That's you.
I don't think this is a show about my faults.
It's going to show. We're talking about
I'm nowhere near retirement.
Why you'll never retire.
Yes, well, I'm in my early 40s, Alan.
Early?
Yes.
A couple of years ago.
Yes. I am 40 plus, 44 years old, right? I still have 20 years, so of course I'm still thinking about work.
The thought of spending more time with your spouse makes you anxious.
That is why I'm single, Alan.
So you don't have to worry about that one.
I'm not anxious at all thinking about my spouse.
So let's do this. Let's talk about a few things that you can do in retirement as far as activities go. So right off the bat is getting a part-time job. And a lot of you, it's like, I don't really want to work after retirement, but a lot of folks find a part-time job, maybe a different career, gives them purpose and gives them a little bit of income. So that can be a way to go.
Right, volunteering, take up a sport. You love this one, this gap year.
Yeah, I love gap year, right? So I want to retire, and then I want to take a gap year. I want to travel the world and help ailing zebras in Zimbabwe.
Yes, and then what? And then from there you go back to work. Is that what a gap?
No, then I retire.
Oh, got it. All right, so that's Big Al's wish. We're talking life planning and retirement. We got a checklist for you. So if you're looking at retiring and you're saying, hey, you know what, I really haven't thought about the non-financial things going into retirement, and I don't want to end up depressed, I don't want to end up divorced, and I don't want to, have bad health because I'm depressed, get the guide. Go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com, click on our special offer, click on that guide, and you are good to go. We got to take a short break. We got more life planning tips when you hit retirement when we get back in a second. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. Welcome back to the show, folks. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. Joe Anderson, Alan Clopine hanging out, talking about lifestyle in retirement, what you should consider before you retire. Before we get into more great, fluffy stuff, let's see how you did on the true-false question.
The benefit of tax-free withdrawals from a Roth IRA are lost when you die because your beneficiaries must pay taxes to withdraw the funds. And it's false, right? Once it's in a Roth IRA, all future income, principal, growth is tax-free for you and your heirs and your beneficiary.
There's one caveat, Alan. There's the 5-year clock rule. All right. So to get a distribution that's qualified for tax-free out of a Roth IRA, it need to season inside the Roth IRA. So you put a Roth IRA in, and then you die, and then the heirs receive that Roth IRA, they would still have to wait the full 5 years of that Roth to get the tax-free treatment. So just a little caveat for those of you that are keeping score. I know who you are, but in most cases, yes, all distributions would be tax-free.
So leave it to you to bring some accuracy to the show.
Well, that's my role.
So Joe, there's a quote about retirement that I really like and enjoy. So I'm going to read it.
Oh, great.
And this is
this show is going places with Big Al reading quotes.
Right? Never mind. Exercise daily, watch your diet, do what you most enjoy, read a lot, and keep yourself mentally active. Service to others on boards and as a volunteer is important. Stay socially involved in every way that you can, and go fly fishing. I think if you follow all that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, fly fishing.
Yeah.
Have you ever flied fish? It's the most frustrating thing I think you could ever possibly do.
I practiced once. I never actually did it. I was on a lawn trying to. The guy said I was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I never actually got to the water.
There's a river runs through it with Big Al.
Yeah.
A couple of things is that we talk about retirement. It's like, all right, well, here's all the things and activities that you need to do. But first of all, we got to stay healthy. The good news is that we're living a heck of a lot longer. The bad news is guess what? We're living a lot longer. And so in that time frame, there could be opportunity for us to fall ill, get hurt, break a hip or whatever. So you want to make sure that you stay healthy. And here's just a few quick tips just to consider. And I know this is fairly common sense, but I think it's good just to recap.
Yeah, so let's start with exercise, right? Exercise 2.5 hours a week, 30 minutes, 5 times a week. A lot of us know that, but doing it's a whole other thing. But that's a very important part of this. Limiting alcohol consumption. We know that if you drink too much, that doesn't do great things for your health.
Yeah, this is a little bit of an issue, because it's like, all right, well, here, it's Saturday every day.
True.
And a lot of individuals, on Saturday, you might have a couple of pops, a couple of cocktails. Hey, this is fun. But guess what? Then it's Monday, then it's Tuesday, and then it's Thursday. And if you're sitting at the local bar, you might want to pull that back and not necessarily be the retired couch drunk.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Eating well, and that means like whole foods, vegetables, lean meats, lean proteins. So, and I think again, we all know that. It's just a matter of actually doing it. It's important all throughout your life, but I think especially, Joe, in retirement, because it's like you need these good foods and exercise to be able to prolong your life, and not just prolong your life, but it's actually the quality of life. And so you got to stay healthy and eat right to do that.
What is this? Be a good patient.
Yeah, that's a good question. So in other words, when the doctor says you need to do something, then you do it, or you show up for your examinations and you listen to your doctor.
And I think the last but not least is just you got to stay mentally sharp. Just play games or do something where just don't veg out in front of the TV. We talked about all these activities that a lot of people do, but guess what? The statistics show that most retirees spend half their day just watching TV, binge watching, whatever. You want to keep your mind sharp, do crossword puzzles and all of that stuff. I mean, it's very, very important because, if you just kind of veg out, it's no bueno.
Yeah, so I think, Joe, there's probably a few questions that folks ought to ask when they retire. And it's really just simply a matter of, have you thought about these things? Like, right off the bat is where do I want to live in retirement? And a lot of folks, we know from surveys, they want to stay in their home, and that's fine. But other people, they really may want to live closer to their kids or grandkids, or maybe a different area. Maybe there's been a vacation area that they like to go to. So it's kind of answering that kind of question.
Yeah, I think that's first. Is because, well, can you afford to live in where you're living right now? Is it a cheaper area someplace else? Do you want to downsize? Even though a lot of us want to stay in our home because that's where our memories are, sometimes it's just not feasible. Another thing is, like we talked about, just staying healthy. What are you going to do to stay healthy? What regimen are you going to put yourself? What new routine can you put yourself in? You got up early, you went to the office or you went to work. Now that you're retired, having that routine is still very, very important. So still get up early, maybe hit the gym, do 20, 30 minutes on the treadmill or something like that. I think, just getting that routine in place is key.
I think that's exactly right. Having a plan, right? Having a regular plan on something that you're actually going to follow through and do as well. And that's the same for activities. In other words, when you really decide, okay, so what do I want to do? I want to play golf, I want to volunteer, I want to travel, whatever it is for you, kind of have a plan to do that. Because if you don't have a plan, time can slip away. And that's where I think we find people getting depressed is time's passing them by and they really haven't done what they wanted to do.
Right. And I think also what your social circle is going to look like. A lot of you might have your biggest connections with people that you work with. And so once you retire, what we found is that a lot of those relationships and connections, they're no longer there, right? You see, your friends at the office, you might go to lunch with them, and then maybe you have a happy hour or something like that. But then once you retire, you're not in that inner circle anymore. And guess what? Your phone might stop ringing. Some of you might be excited. Hey, I don't like anyone that I work with anyway. Some of you might be very close. So just understand that your social circles, your social network might change a little bit. If you're retiring early and you're saying, hey, I'm playing golf on a Tuesday afternoon, guess what? Everyone else is still working. So you want to make sure that you have that social circle just to keep that, communication and just the vibrance of life alive.
I think another thing, Joe, is lifetime learning. And when you retire, it's not that you want to stop learning. You want to continue learning all throughout your life. And I really think that's what keeps your mind sharp. And that might mean going to a college course, or it might mean learning a new language, or whatever it is to you. And I think that's how a lot of people feel younger and more vibrant as they keep learning.
Hey, we got to take a short break. Again, we have this checklist on our website. Go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com, yourmoneyyourwealth.com. Just click on our special offer, and it's basically a retirement lifelong learning, right? You're approaching retirement. What activities should you be looking at? What should you be doing, or what should you be thinking about that is non-financial? Because in most cases, this is more important. Al and I have been doing this a very long time, and we've seen people with millions and millions and millions of dollars, and guess what? They are absolutely miserable. Money means, right, everything to a lot of people, but they don't have a necessarily life plan. We also know individuals that have a couple of bucks and they're the happiest people you ever meet. They're living a fulfilling life. That's the starting point. What are you going to do in this next phase to continue with that purpose? Go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com, click on our guide, and you can download it right there on your computer. Don't go anywhere. We still got more to go. We got Ask the Experts. We're going to bring some experts in, answer your email questions, and a couple of other things. So don't go anywhere. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. Hey, welcome back to the show. The show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. I'm Joe Anderson, of course, with Alan Clopine. We're talking about the softer side of finances. Stick around. We have Ask the Experts, a couple email questions. And the true false is coming up right now. Let's see how you did.
The earliest you can collect Social Security benefits from your own payment record is age 62. So at age 62 is the earliest you can receive Social Security on your own payment record. But if you have a disability, Joe, it could be sooner.
Yeah, survivor benefit is early as age 60.
Right.
So if you had a spouse that passed away, you can collect that benefit as early as age 60. 62, still a lot of times people claim it as age 62, which...
The majority, I would say.
The majority still, yeah. We're living a lot longer, so you might want to get a better strategy than that, but if you need the money, of course, take it. What do you think Albert Einstein would say about this show today, Big Al?
Well, Joe, I've got a quote. I know how much you love quotes, so I'm going to read it here. Albert Einstein, pretty smart guy, right? So he says intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. So in other words, keep growing throughout your entire life. Never stop learning. Agree or disagree?
Of course. Yeah, you can't disagree with good old Al.
You're right.
Both Als.
Right.
Al, let's walk people through, so we've talked about a lot of things of what you consider as you retire in regards to lifestyle and purpose. But still, you want to make sure that you have enough money to retire. So there's still a simple exercise that you need to go through to make sure that you have enough money. And this is basically the 4% rule that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of what is your number,
sure.
Right? So we're just going to go through a little example here. So how much do I need to retire? So let's just say that your desired spending is $100,000. So I want to spend $100,000. That's kind of the starting point. So then you take a look at what do you have to work with? Well, I got $60,000 of fixed income. So what's that? That's from Social Security. It's from pensions. Maybe it's from rental real estate, something like that. Income that's pretty dependable, that's not dependent upon your own liquid investments. Then you do a little math. I want to spend 100. I only got 60 coming in. So I'm 40,000 short. That's the shortfall. What do you do with that shortfall? You multiply that by 25. Gives you your factor. So you need about $1 million to be able to make this work. 4% of your portfolio, $1 million, 4% of that's $40,000. Now this is not foolproof. I mean, some people probably should only be taking 2.5% or 3%. Others could take a little bit more, but at least it gives you a starting point.
Yeah, that's a big number, Alan. That's a huge number.
It's a big number.
And so everything that we've talked about of like traveling, golf, hobbies, gardening, fishing, yeah, I guess you're not going to be able to do any of that because you're working and saving money. It's a giant number. Well, you just depressed everyone, Alan.
Well, if you start early. So here's the key, right?
Okay.
If you start early and save a few bucks and the compounding of dollars, you actually can you can make it. But a lot of times we see people that are 50 years of age and they've got nothing, or even 60 years of age. And I got to tell you, like even at 60 years of age and you got nothing, you start max funding your 401k, which right now, 2019, is $25,000 per year. Maybe get a little match from your employer. Over the course of the next 10 years, work from 60 to 70, you could amass over $300,000, between $300,000 and $400,000. That's well ahead of the game compared to most people that retire.
Yeah, it's just looking at a plan, right? And figuring out what levers do you need to pull. But more importantly, it's like if whatever dollar figure that you have, you still have to plan of what that life is going to look like. And if you can't afford the big extravagant things, that's okay. Just have a good family circle, have some friends, hang out, and you will be just fine. Let's go to Ask the Experts.
This question is for Al because Joe isn't smart enough for this. Al, regarding the tax code changes for 2018, will that impact investment philosophy? And what's that going to do with tax preparation for 2018? Thanks.
So I guess I'll answer that question since it was asked of me.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right because I'm definitely not smart enough. I don't know. I don't even know how I got on this show, to be honest with you. No clue.
Well, and because you got a big personality.
Sure.
Yeah, right. At any rate, I'll start with this, and you can fill in the gaps, Joe. But so number one, the new tax law doesn't really change your investment philosophy. That should be goals-based. That really doesn't change. Now, taxes are an important part of investments, right? But it's not going to change your investment philosophy, and nothing happened in the Tax Act to make you want to do that. How's that going to affect your tax preparation? Well, it was supposed to make it way simpler, but actually, when you look at some of these changes in the laws, it's a bit more complicated. So it's going to require a little extra time. So that's my answer. What do you got to add to that?
There's a reason why that gentleman is no longer on our opening. If you looked in the previous shows, he was, an extra, right, in the show opening. Yeah, because of that comment, we nixed you. So that's all I got to say about that.
I have agreed to secure a loan to help with my son's college education. The Parent Plus loan has an interest rate of more than 7.5%. Would it be better for me to take out a home equity line of credit at about half the interest rate? I'm worried about putting my home in jeopardy. I'm 56 and I want to retire by 65. Julie from Encinitas.
That's a tough situation. I mean, there's a lot of information that we still need. I mean, how big is the loan? What is the payment? I get 7.5% is a pretty big number. So what is the cash flow? That's a tough one. I think from a cash flow perspective, if you refinance it, you could get a lot lower interest rate. You can push that payment out and probably a little bit more affordable. You can still cash flow. Still, hopefully, you can still save for your overall financial goals. But Parent Plus loans, there's pros and cons of having a Parent Plus loan versus wrapping it up in a home equity loan. So.
Yeah, it's true, and the other thing too, Joe, is, and I think we see this, it's pretty common, which is I think a lot of parents are trying to pay their kids' college off, and maybe you ought to try to rethink that, because by you paying off your kids' college, you may become short in retirement. So make sure if you're going to pay off your kids' college expenses that you have enough for yourself.
Yeah, you can. The kids can get a loan for their college. Now you're jeopardizing your retirement by taking out a loan for yourself. So, that's a tough call, but it's the fact of life. So if we had more information and more time, we could probably nail that down a little bit better for you. But what did we learn today? What is the fun facts of today? Well, you got to get a reason to get up in the morning. So you're up in the morning because you're watching Your Money, Your Wealth. I wish we were on every morning because that would probably give you a reason to stay in bed. Number two is you want to stay healthy, right? All of this planning and everything that you're doing, if you're not healthy, right, it's going to be a tough road to hoe. Keep your brain sharp. Get that activities, get hobbies, keep learning, keep striving, and have a written plan, folks. To help you with all of this, of course, we have our retirement lifestyle planning checklist. Go to our website, yourmoneyyourwealth.com. Click on that special offer. There's a lot of good nuggets in there. If you're looking to retire, what is that transition going to look like? Trust me, you want to make sure that you have this guide, because unfortunately, the highest divorce rate are couples in their 60s. The highest suicide rate are men in their 70s because they didn't have this plan and they didn't have this checklist. Go to yourmoneyyourwealth.com. Click on the special offer, and we will see you next week. For Big Al Clopine, I'm Joe Anderson. You just watched another episode of Your Money, Your Wealth.